I'm not. It's not like I'm sad I'm eating or I'm happy I'm eating. It's like, hey man, I like to eat poorly, bro. I like salt. I like sugar. They'll take somebody there for once, and you can tell if they fake if they can fold them.
My high school friends always made fun of me for not being funny.
My principal told me I was the worst president we ever had. I was
Why?
kind of like the first Trump.
You're never going to be perfectly happy all the time. The best you can hope for is to be reasonably happy.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Reasonably Happy. My guest this week is Tevin Williams, a.k.a. the Mandel Man, a.k.a. Mandal. He is a brilliant young comedian from Atlanta, Georgia. I've known him for 8 years.
Yeah, exactly.
When'd you start?
I started in 2016.
Starting in Atlanta just 8 years ago. He's been opening for all people like John Mulaney.
Yeah.
Who else?
A bunch of folks. John Mulaney, Josh Johnson. I mean, you know, whoever, Rory.
So lots of big people. He is a great performer in his own right. He just had a headlining show in the New York Comedy Festival. Mandel, it's good to see you, buddy.
Man, it's good to see you, bro. How are you?
I'm good. So we were talking about Ozempic, right, when you walked
Yes,
in,
I'm
which
trying to get it.
Full disclosure, have been on for about 8 weeks.
How you feel about it?
I mean, I wrote this joke.
Yeah.
Okay. I said, it's incredible how you can lose 15 pounds only through the power of a drug and then feel smug about it. And then I'd see this preview of Gaffigan's new special and he had the same joke. And I'm like,
yeah. Here's the thing though, bro. I'm trying to figure out a person that's shaped like you, I think you shouldn't have to be able to have it, bro.
I shouldn't be able to have it.
I think so. I think you shouldn't, bro.
You mean it should be dispensed based on, starting with the people who need it the most?
I think the country got so many people who are me plus.
Yeah.
They should be cutting this open and then dropping it in.
I think
get what I'm saying?
Based on what it's done for me to feel good, just losing 15 pounds,
Yeah.
I think you should have it.
I went to the doctor. My doctor is now Khaled's sister. Khaled El Truth is
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. His sister.
Khaled's another Atlanta comedian.
Yes.
Great guy.
Yeah. So she was like, okay, I'm gonna figure it out, right? And then I went to her clinic, and then I just got bad insurance because I do this, and so
Yeah, me too.
And they were just like, yeah, you don't have diabetes, man. I'm like, hey, man, eventually I will though.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
like I'm not like far away from it. You know what I'm saying?
It's short-sighted.
Yeah.
So it's like $400 a month.
Yeah.
And I'm on a very low dose, but and I'm not trying to lose 40% of my body weight.
I got a question. So look, are you using name brand Ozempic?
No, I'm using compound semi-glutide.
Okay.
Ozempic's like 1,000 or more a month.
Yeah.
And this stuff is like 300 or 400
Yeah,
probably.
they try to put me on the Wegovy.
Yeah.
That's the one that's just straight for weight loss.
We go where?
I think it's called Wegovy.
Wegovy it is. Yeah.
Yep, am I true? Is
No,
that
it's
right?
you got it. You got
Okay.
it. Yeah.
But they said that one is. They was like they try to say it's cosmetic, man.
Oh, that's bullshit.
Crazy, bro.
Were you
Crazy.
Were you a chubby kid?
Yeah, man. I probably started. I only remember not being fat up until probably about 8 or 9. I think 8 was when I realized, oh, I'm fatter than other people.
What happened?
I had this. So Nike, y'all remember when Nike came out with the Prestos, the shoes without laces?
Yeah.
Bro, I don't know why the commercial used to come on, and I used to be at the mall, and then I wanted them real bad. And then my granddad was like, all right, if you get on the roll, I'll get the shoes. So he got the shoes. And then my mom bought me some shirts to go with it. And I had this like sleeveless sports shirt. And I remember people was like, dang, bro, your boob hanging out. And that's when I realized I was fatter than everybody.
Oh man.
Yeah, I was like 8.
Did you eat? Did dessert have an emotional connection for you?
I don't. You know something? When people talk about being fat, I don't really think I have. And maybe those things are like hidden in there somewhere. Obviously, that's how the brain works. But I'm never like on the surface like, oh, I'm eating because I'm sad or I'm eating or whatever.
Sure.
I'm just like, I just like to eat.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not. It's not like I'm sad I'm eating or I'm happy I'm eating. It's like, hey man, I like to eat poorly, bro. I like salt. I like sugar. I like fat. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like some people will try to, and it could be some type of coping mechanism or something like that. But I think sometimes I just don't have the self-control.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Did you play sports before you got heavy, or were you?
No, so I played sports after. So I played baseball, and I played football, and then I played basketball. And my stepdad was the assistant coach, and I still didn't play like that. I still didn't play. Yeah, because
You got no PT from your stepdad?
He tried his best, bro, but I was always very short, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I was like super short. Like, I'm super short now, but like in elementary school, I was like way shorter than everybody. And then I had a growth spurt in high school that led me to just being regular short. You get what I'm saying? But like, I probably wasn't 5 feet until high school.
Wow.
Yeah. So like, I think it was just no place for me in basketball. I was straight at baseball though, and I was decent at football. I was quick.
What position did you play in both of those sports?
I played defensive end in football, and then again at some point I just wasn't big enough. But then like
you playing Pop Warner football?
Yeah. I play rec league. Something interesting. I play for this park called West Manor, which is off of Cascade Road, and this dude who went to middle school with me played for Ben Hill, and Ben Hill was the premier like team.
Yeah.
So much so that they practice on our field. They didn't practice on the field. They practiced on.
They didn't want to spoil it for game time.
Yes, they practiced on our field, and then I went to UGA, and Damian Swan played on that team.
Is that right?
Yes, I went to middle school with him, and we remembered each other and everything. Yeah, it was crazy because he became a football star, and I was in marketing.
When did you know you were funny?
Probably middle school. What would you say when you knew you were funny?
My high school friends always made fun of me for not being funny.
Really?
They said everything I said was corny. And then I got to college and people died.
Really?
I think it was a matter of just sort of, I don't know, the mindset when I got to college is a little bit more competitive academically.
Yeah.
It sort of appealed to the people around me. Maybe I found my fellow nerds and they thought they got my jokes for the first time.
Yes, because I think it's two people who become comedians, bro.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's people who were funny, always funny, and they failed at another thing, which is myself. And then there's people who wanted to be funny and then figured it out. You get what I'm saying? And I think that you can see it in their styles. I noticed that. I noticed people who wanted to be funny and then they figured it out are better writers. Like they figured out the math and the meticulous things that makes people like, and then the performers are the people who I really wanted to be play the xylophone. You know what I'm saying? But that didn't work.
You're more of a performer, right?
I would say so.
You're a feel guy.
Yeah, but I think I learned the writing of it. I say it took me time. It took me a while to kind of get joke for joke funny. But I think I was always just like I was a person who wanted to be a serious person, and I just wasn't.
You wanted to be a serious person?
Yes, growing up.
What does that mean?
So, like, when I was in high school, I was my student body president. I was debate team captain. I had worked on my I was like the chief editor-in-chief for our newspaper.
Do you make good grades? Sounds like it.
I made good grades in high school. In college, I didn't.
No.
High school, yeah. In high school, I made great grades. And then I was bad at all that. My principal told me I was the worst president we ever had. I was kind of like the first Trump.
How's that?
Okay, I know. So like, actually, I'm not like Trump at all. But in this sense, I wasn't in student body, right? And then I just decided senior year that I was gonna run. And then I just had more charismatic speeches than everybody else. And that's why I won.
What'd you say?
I was just saying stuff that I knew wasn't gonna happen, but I knew. I mean, that's what he kind of does. You know, he say stuff like, "Man, we gonna get y'all. Everybody gonna get $1 million." You know, they don't know. But no, I mean, maybe I thought I could do those things, but like I was like, you know, man, we need to get. I can't remember what I promised. I promised like a whole nother dance, and I was like, maybe we need to go bring back field trips, just stuff that I don't even remember specific, but just stuff that wasn't gonna happen, but I could promise it to some ninth grader, and they don't know no better. Cause I looked at the statistics, the stats of it. Everybody who was my year didn't vote for me.
Right.
It was all
The younger
10th
people.
and 9th.
That's funny.
And then I won off the strength of them. And I was really bad at the job, bro. Like, I didn't know how to organize. I didn't know how to do the meetings. I didn't get nothing done. It was really bad.
So do you think it was a charisma play or just a false promises play?
I think it was a charisma play. I wasn't like, I don't think at the time I was maliciously like, I'm going to promise this knowing I'm not going to do it. But I think, you know, I just have heavy ADHD, so I'm very big concept. So I'm like, yeah, why not? We can't do this thing. Not even thinking about all the steps it would take to get that done, you know?
I didn't know you were ADHD.
So I didn't find out till I was, am I talking too much?
No.
I didn't find out until I was kind of new, but I didn't find out officially till I was about 25.
And you're how old now?
31.
Okay. How'd you find out?
Man, I was having like some mental health issues, and then I started really like, you know, trying to get into it and figure it out. And then I was talking to a therapist about it, and then she went and had me take the little test. You know how they take the little test with the computer? And, you know, the scale is 0 to 10 is regular or whatever, and then 0 to -10 is ADHD. And I got negative 9.87.
No shit, really?
Yeah, it was crazy.
She put you on meds?
Yeah, but then I stopped taking them, but I just started back getting them. I just got them back like 2 weeks ago.
How does it make you feel?
I like the work part of it, but I don't like the drop off. And then I don't like the fact that you get used to it, because then it feels like it don't really feel like a fix. Like, because the first couple weeks is cool, but then it's like, okay, now I need more of it, and it's like it's a slippery slope. But funny story though, I told my mama about all this, and she said, you know, when I was like 5 and 4, we was in Cobb County. And I had went to like I can't remember what it's called, but it was like a white school those 2 years. Then before we moved back to Southwest Atlanta. And she said, you know, they had tried to tell her that I was ADHD and all this or whatever. And then she was like, she just didn't trust them because they were trying to put me on Ritalin and stuff.
Yeah.
And then I moved back to Southwest Atlanta, and I was like, I think he just need a little bit more discipline. And so she just went with
Trying
that.
to spank it out of you.
And she just went with that. But here's the thing, though. She not wrong, though. Because, like, maybe I did have some issues that I needed some help with. But I do think I did get pretty far without the drugs.
Right.
Like, I did go to school. I got a degree. I had a job. I mean, it sprouted out a little bit towards the end, but you know what I'm saying? Like, so.
Did you perform for your mother?
Absolutely.
In what way?
I made like songs and stuff. I remember when I was a kid, she got me this little notebook to write down these like comic book ideas I had. I would do a lot of singing, a lot of making up songs, just doing stuff for attention. I was the only child. Well, my mom's only child, so yeah. Yeah. I was wondering, you got siblings?
I'm one of 6.
Oh, you got a lot.
Our
of
house
siblings.
was very crowded.
Was you
So
young or older?
I was. So I think my comedy origin story is I needed more attention.
Got you.
So like this is like a performance thing.
Got you.
To stand out from all those other siblings in my house.
Can I ask you a real personal question?
Absolutely.
Okay, here's the thing I always find interesting about you, right? I do think that it is interesting seeing a person who figured out life career stuff, but still has this desire for this other thing, which is comedy, entertainment, etc. I wonder, do a part of you feel like that pursuit just based out of a traumatic experience, or like because you wanted that attention? Do you ever feel like you'll have your feel? You know what I'm saying?
Do I ever feel like I have my what?
You'll have your feel of it. Like you'll finally be like, this is the time where I've completed everything.
I mean, I kind of wish I would. I kind of wish I could get to a point to where you go, okay, I tried that, I'm done. Now I can go back and just have a regular job and make money and have everything like nice and neat and have a path that's kind of laid out for you.
Yeah.
Because it's what the hard thing about comedy is, like, there's no path. You got to go figure out your own place. And it's moving to New York. It's never been more clear to me. And I've been doing this 12 years full time.
Yeah.
That I got to find my own lane here. I don't know what that's going to look like, man. You know, I didn't choose comedy. Comedy grabbed me and was like, this is what you have to go figure out. And I was in business school. I told jokes in front of a bunch of other, nerdy business school students. And they laughed, and I was like, oh my God, this is the thing I want to do.
Yeah.
And I mean, it certainly has, taken me away from the money-earning corporate life. But it's the thing I want to try to figure out. Maybe because it's it's so hard. It's so hard to figure out. It's so hard to stay motivated. I mean, I think about quitting every day.
Yeah.
You did quit.
I did.
Tell me about that.
Well, that brings me to the point I was trying to understand. So, like,
I have a theory on why you quit, but I want to hear you finish your thought.
Also, this is like the most unsilly podcast episode I've done so far.
We'll get to
No, I'm not saying it in a bad way. I'm saying I've always felt like over time our conversations always became a little bit more earnest. Like
I want to know more about you.
Yeah,
I mean, I see you on stage.
For
I
sure.
know who that is.
Yeah, for sure. I think that this is what I think. I think that I think that when I was around 25, right? That's for when I was working corporate jobs.
What'd you do in corporate jobs?
I did a couple things. I was in a business leadership program for AT&T, and then I was working doing accounting for a law firm. Also worked sales for this logistics firm called TQL that was in Midtown. I was bad at all these jobs. I was at I did some other stuff too. I think I did another logistics firm. Those are jobs that easy to get. Yeah.
Yep.
And I was just really bad at all them jobs, man. I mean, I was really like not even just like I didn't like doing them. I just didn't have the skill set. And then I started doing stand up, and so I would be my last real job. I had like gigs in between them, but my last real job, well, every job is real, but last one that was like, I went to school for, was when I was doing accounting for this law firm in Buckhead. And then I got NACA, and I had got a bunch of schools.
That's the college, the organization that books comedians going to college campuses. It's a good gig. It pays well. It's the first time a lot of comics get to a place where they're getting paid for real.
Yes. And so every day at work, I was just like, all I really wanted, and this still holds true, but I've never really been like, I want to be a arena comic or nothing like that. I just want to just be able to be sufficient in just doing comedy. Like I do comedy, that's my job. It's stable, it works in that type of way. And then I got a bunch of schools, and then I quit my job, and I was on the road doing a bunch of schools. I was having a great time, making a lot of money, and it still wasn't enough. And then I realized, whatever this issue I have is outside of these things. And so the biggest time I recognized it too was one time I was when I first started getting maybe like outside of Atlanta, like relationships and being around comedians. I was hanging out with some comics in LA who was like doing a bunch of stuff. And I remember that list for the degenerates had dropped. I guess they all found out from their managers. And they were all upset that they didn't get it. The same way comics and my friends would be upset about not getting in Skullfest. Mm-hmm. But all these people make 6 figures doing comedy. And I was like, oh, okay. Whatever these things that I think will go bring me to this place never will.
That's right.
And then I think it kind of wrecked me a little bit. I didn't know what I was doing. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's why I do this podcast. That's where it all started, because I'd always dreamed of making money. Then I worked at Facebook and I made a lot of money. And then I quit my job not knowing what I was going to do and felt like, oh, is this all there is? It's like, okay, so you have money now. Great.
Yeah.
Now, how does that help you be you? And by the way, once you start making money, you get to $1 million, you want $3 million. You get $3 million, you want $10 million.
Yeah.
And you buy a lake house and all of a sudden you want a jet. Like, it never stops.
Yeah.
That's how we're built. And, like fame, money, sex, whatever it is, if your neighbor has more than you do, your natural instinct is to want as much or more than them.
Yes.
This guy, these economists did these surveys of really rich people, multimillionaires, and asked them, how happy are you on a scale of 1 to 10? Then he asked them, what would it take to get you to a 10? And you know what the answer was? Twice what I have. All of them.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks they're going to be happy when they have twice. And so that's where this whole thing started, was having these conversations. And I see it. And, you were saying, well, what do I want from... I'm at least conscious of knowing that even if I had Jimmy Fallon's job, I'd still want more. Yeah. Or I'd be so insecure that I was going to lose what I had. I mean, look at all the people getting fired in TV and print and stuff now. I mean, like... there's no security in this gig.
For sure.
And even if you get the best gig, at someday you're going to lose it. Very few people walk out of that gig retiring with a big party. Most of them get canceled. Yeah. So did that dawn on you? Like, was that what made you take a step back and quit for a little bit?
Well, what made me take a step back was like, I was just on the hamster wheel, and I was like, man, I'm kind of just not like, I got my first gig. I finally got to the point where I was doing comedy full time, and I'd be in hotels and I'd be on the road a lot. And I was just having like intrusive thoughts, and maybe.
What are intrusive thoughts?
Like being scared, like something terrible was gonna happen, that everything was gonna crumble up under me, or something.
Because you were finally succeeding and you didn't think it was real.
I don't even know if I didn't think it was real. I just felt like, I don't know, maybe I made some poor decision in high school or something. My whole Rolodex of just my brain was just going out of whack, and so I had to figure that out. And then I was just kind of like, okay, like this is it. Whatever thing I want from this isn't gonna solve how I feel about myself.
100%.
And so then it's like, okay, I need to figure that out. So then at first my thought was. My thought was maybe like the comedy is almost and I still kind of feel like this, but I kind of feel like the comedy kind of feeds into that, because you're doing this thing where you go in and you seek outside validation. That's
100%. It is the most clear example. Yeah. Oh, there's a person who is not me clapping for me.
Absolutely.
And if you don't get that, you feel like, oh shit, I failed, man.
Yes. And I was like, I think a part of this is contributing to the poor sense of self. And so I don't really know what to do about that.
Did you use? Well, you mentioned therapy before. Did you start going to therapy?
I did, but I think still like it's a hard thing to explain, because it's like, as long as you're doing stand up, and of course I don't want to speak in absolutes, but I feel like as long as you're doing stand up, you always seeking somebody else's approval.
But that's okay. That's okay.
You think so?
Yeah.
At that level?
Well, it depends on how obsessed you get about it. Let me tell you what I thought happened for you. And this is totally unsubstantiated. This is just my brain interpreting things I don't know that much about, which is why I'm glad we're sitting here talking.
Yeah.
So you start comedy in 2016, and I'm going to get to Comedy Game. But we knew right away that you were different. Everybody saw Mandel come in, and it was like, this guy's got something. He's got personality. He's got that it factor that, like, we don't know what it is. You know, he's green as a comic, but he's really likable. And not everybody's like that when they walk on stage, right? So then you did your time, you're going to all the shows, you're showing up, you're doing the work, and you start to get these NACA shows, and you're getting some momentum, and you're starting to make some money, and maybe you found the thing that makes you, I knew all the time that I had something in me, and this is where I'm special. This is that place where people clap for me outside of myself. And then COVID happens, and everything shuts down, and it wrecked you.
Okay, halfway.
Yeah.
Halfway.
Okay.
So
and I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean,
you're
like,
right.
It was like you were getting everything you dreamed of, and it got taken away from you.
So that's part of it.
Okay.
That's part of it. So this kind of started building up before the pandemic. So then, at the time I had enough money, so I'm on. At the time I'm on Prozac. That's helping a little bit. Do some therapy, figure some stuff out. You know, you gotta go figure out what happened when you was a kid. You know.
Yep.
I'm doing all that, and then I'm moving to New York. So when the pandemic happened, I'm here, staying on a friend's couch. I'm about
March 2020.
Yes.
Okay.
I just did Sketch Fest in San Francisco. I'm looking for a lease.
Oh man.
So I'm staying with a friend, but I got some money. I'm just looking for a lease to I'm literally here to find a place. And then the next week, pandemic happens, and then every gig falls apart.
Right.
So the levies were already...
Yeah, all the bookings you had just go disappear from your calendar.
Literally, in 4 days, all the money I had, I realized the money in my account was the money I had.
Right.
So the levies were already rocky before that. So yes, what you're saying is right, but I do think if that just happened on its own, I feel I would have been able to recover smooth. But it was already me feeling like, dang, like I still don't finally feel like whatever person I decided I thought I was gonna be once I got this thing, or all those other things. And then that happens, and then I moved back to Atlanta. I moved out of my house in Atlanta. So I moved back into my mama crib.
Thank God you didn't sign a lease up here, though.
No, I know. Yeah, absolutely. But I moved back into my mama crib, and I'm like, all right, bro, I got to go to work. Like, I got to find a job. But then I done wrecked my whole resume doing this thing. I done had, like, every job I had, it was only like 3-4 months, And so then, I was real upset about that. And then I was just very, very unwell during the pandemic. Other people I know, they said they handled it well. I didn't handle it at all well. I was very upset the whole time. I didn't know what I was going to do. And so then I still honestly didn't really start feeling, I ain't gonna lie, it probably wasn't until maybe 2022 where I felt like I got it back together. Mm-hmm. Even when I was working at Skull, I felt almost like...
The Laughing Skull's the club where we performed, yeah.
I felt almost like I was kind of, and granted, thankful Marshall gave me an opportunity, because even though I got fired for doing something stupid, but thankfully Marshall gave me an opportunity because I ain't had no money. But I almost felt trapped though. I'm like, I spent the whole year applying to jobs, and then it's like, well, I guess I'm back at the comedy club, and then you around comedy long enough. I was like, well, I guess I'll start back going up after like almost 2 years. But I'm like,
was it 2 years you didn't go up for 2 years?
It was probably like maybe a year and 9 months.
Yeah. There wasn't that much going on during that time anyway.
Yeah,
very few of us did shows, except for the people that went to Florida and got COVID multiple times.
Yeah. But I understand those people, though.
I wish I would have done it. I remember feeling a little bit superior, going like, these guys are dangerous. These guys. And now, I wish I would have kept the momentum going.
I'm going to say this. I definitely think that obviously you got to be mindful of other people's health and make sure that you're not causing harm. But I do also feel like if a person's job is doing stand-up and another person does it as a hobby, I do think it's hard to tell them not to pay their bills. As a person who couldn't get another job.
Yeah.
As a person who just didn't have money until the comedy club opened back up, where I tried to apply to other jobs, I tried to do what they said do.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard for me to say. It's hard for me to blame somebody for working their job.
Yeah. No. Well, I mean, I just wish I would have kept the moment. I had some momentum going into COVID, then it all stopped. And I think I took a break because I was like, man, I'm tired of the hustle. You know, like this is nonstop.
Yeah.
And so, but in retrospect, I think, woulda, coulda, shoulda, all that. I would have liked to have kept the momentum, kept writing, kept developing material and all that. Forget about the money I'm still not making money on the road net of travel, but, I'm working.
Yeah.
So, okay. So, but the 2 years since COVID has been very good to you.
It's been good. And I think I did a better job of like trying to separate myself from the comedy, and I'm not doing. It's not successful most of the time, but it works sometimes.
What do you mean separate yourself?
Like if I do bad on stage or good on stage, that is just my work, and that's not just me. Where I feel like before, it was if I do bad on stage, I should be dead.
Right.
And if I did good on stage, I'm the greatest man to ever walk on this earth.
Yeah.
And now I kind of try to do less of that, where it's like, hey, the comedy is what it is. Some people like it, some people don't. Like I used to do a lot more like even thing. And I know they say you're supposed to do this as a comic, but for me, for my brain, it's better if I don't. But even in like catering to all the audiences, I kind of do a little bit less of that and just be like, hey, this is the thing I like doing, and the people who is for it, they gonna like it, and the people who don't, they don't. But that has nothing to do with me as a person.
Right.
Like as a son, as a community member, as a friend, I kind of try to put more of my sense of self in how I feel about myself or my friends and family feel about me than audiences.
What percentage of your friends are comedians?
I'll say close friends are like just.
I don't know. Break it down however you want.
I'm going to say, obviously, I work with comedians, so most of the people I hang with day to day are comedians. But when I say my friends, like my friends that I'm tight with, we hang out, I go to their weddings, I say it's half and half.
Okay. Well, that probably gives you a little bit of distance, because there's some people whose 85% of their friends are comics. That's all they do is talk about comedy all the time. That's the basis of their social interaction.
Yeah, I still have my friends from high school and my friends from college, and I think that did help me a lot too, where like they kind of give me a lot of perspective in the sense of one thing they're good about is, hey, we don't want to hear about this.
Yeah.
And I think you need somebody to be like, hey man, you're talking about yourself a lot.
Right.
You really obsessed with yourself. Because comics, we all do it.
Yeah.
We'll talk about comedy for all day. I'll listen to some comic talk about his set in detail. He'll listen to me, and we kind of enable each other to be so self-absorbed. But then when you're around somebody who got 3 kids and works a job every day, he's like, hey man, I'm cool. I don't want to hear all
Well, man, that's where you listen and try to get some material from his life.
Yeah. Then
So
you're trying to use that look.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, tell me about the time when you were a kid and you bought some off-brand Air Force Ones.
No, I brought some fake ones.
So you bought fake ones?
I bought fake ones.
Why didn't you get the real ones?
Honestly, you know something? Like I grew up, I feel like on the dot middle class. Like in the sense of like, I never like missed a meal or anything, but we weren't rich by any means. And so like my mom was very much so like, she was very like into like I would always be dressed. I was dressed nice and stuff. She would give me clothes and everything. But she also was very much so like, we go save money here and there. So I think this is right when I started getting like allowance and stuff. And we went to Foot Locker, and I think...
What year do you think? How old are you?
12 or 13.
Okay.
12 or 13.
So you're middle school when fashion, people notice what you're wearing.
Yep. This is probably 7th grade. And so then we go, this is like before the year start, you get your new clothes for the school year. Mm-hmm. And so then I think the Air Force Ones at the time was like $89, $99 or something like that. And then she was like, oh, like, there's the discount mall, which is across the street from Greenbrier Mall, that got some Air Force Ones for $40. And so then I knew they was fake. But she was like, I don't think nobody gonna be able to tell the difference. Air Force Ones? Yeah, the like, okay, so like the what's the bottom of the midsole? The midsole was so thick. And then the top was like, it was like almost like paper. Like it was like real thin. And so then I came to school and immediately people was on me. They was like, man, them platform shoes. People was calling them biscuits because they was like wrinkled up at the front. Like they did this thing with it. I didn't let them do it, but they had this thing where if somebody dressed out for gym, how you switch into different shoes or a different outfit.
Yeah.
They had this thing called a biscuit test. I don't know why they called it that. I think we were just kids, but where they'll take somebody Air Force Ones and you could tell if they fake if they could fold them.
Oh yeah.
If you could fold them like this, they were fake.
Yeah.
And I know I was gonna get caught up with that, and it was rough. It was rough.
You got biscuited.
Yeah, I ain't never heard you use it, but look, they happened for maybe like 3. I had those for maybe like 4 months. It was real bad. And the next pair I got was real, and as soon as I saw somebody with some fake ones, I was on them, man. And it really show you really just do to people whatever that was done to you.
Kids are vicious, man.
Because man, I was on him crazy. I couldn't wait to see somebody with some fake shoes after that. But
how are you doing with money now?
Not good. I gotta figure it out.
What's happening?
I'm making more.
Are you working regularly? Are you getting weekends?
Yeah, I'm making more. I had made so many just bad financial choices.
Like what?
In my 20s, like a credit card. Like when I was doing festivals, I was just doing it all off a credit card or like
buying your plane tickets on credit cards.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then the worst thing I was doing was when I would do colleges, they give you your travel money. They give you your travel money when they pay you, which is 30 days away. So then I would go and do a bunch of schools off the credit card. And then when I get the money a month later, I didn't immediately go back and pay back the card. So now I'm starting to make more money, but now it's all paying off this card or like just getting all those ducks in a row,
Yeah.
Get my student loans paid off, stuff like that.
And you're doing weekends like in the small rooms or where?
Nah, I'm just getting a couple. So I'm doing mostly features. So I'm still featuring for people.
Meaning middle act in front of a big act.
Yeah, so I'm doing some features for people. And then I'm just starting maybe like the last 6 months getting small room, 2 shows a weekend, stuff like that. Yeah,
which is hard. Even if you sell those out, it's hard to make the travel work and all that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm getting like them first deals, so they're not that much money at all. There's some, I mean, they don't know if I'm a seller or not, so they're really low. I mean, I can't blame them either, but they're not like big money.
No.
Most of the money I'm getting now is features.
Where do you want to go with all this? But knowing what you know and saying what you've said about seeing the lie that is fame, the two faces of success. What do you think is going to be a healthy way for you to move forward?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to either write or figure out how to act.
Right.
And I think having a job for a little while will help. Because I do think a big part of why the stand-up can be, I never use this word because I'm never confident if I'm using it right, but toxic for me sometimes, is because it is my source of income. So I'm doing stand-up pretty much every day. I mean, maybe I probably take, 2 days off a week sometimes, But I do think if I had this portion of the year I'm doing this thing, and then I come back and I do stand up, I feel like there'll be a healthier relationship with it versus like my whole existence is go on stage and pray people like me,
Yeah.
So
Are you taking acting lessons?
no, I'm about to take some. I want to take some when I move to LA.
So you are moving to LA.
I'm moving in March. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So, but I have been like submitting more package, trying to learn how to just get better at it, and I think eventually it'll turn into. But I at first I was really like frustrated with that, but then I was like, it's just like when I started stand up, it's gonna take me a while to get good at it. So,
Are these guys, the big guys that you're opening for, are they providing mentorship for you?
Sometimes, but I try not. If I'm being honest, I try not to ask. I try not to ask no questions because I just feel like I'm not a person who people are doing me big favors, man. And
You're welcome, but okay.
People are doing me big favors, and so I'm just like, I don't want to ask nobody for more than they already gave me. I think that hey, if you give me the opportunity, it's up to me to make the best of it.
Yeah, but you could. I mean, like, I get that, man. I don't like asking anybody for anything.
Yeah.
I don't like submitting for spots at local clubs.
Yeah.
I want people to, I want to be on that. I want you to want me.
Yeah.
But is that realistic?
I think I am a very, very, very solid stand-up, right? So I'll put myself in position for stand-up opportunities because I feel like I can do that well.
Yes.
But I'm not going to come at somebody and be like, hey, read this script when I don't think that the scripts are great yet.
But
or the acting.
You could ask people for advice. You could say, if you were me, what would you be doing right now?
For sure.
You have a manager?
Yeah, I do. But I think honestly, a lot of times, what I've noticed, if you just be quiet, they'll tell you.
Maybe
you really don't have to ask.
I should try that.
No, for real, people, one thing comedians love is to talk, and we love to talk about ourselves. I've done it this whole podcast. I've asked you 2 questions.
I asked you on because I wanted to learn about you.
But
how am I going to learn about you if you don't talk?
No, for sure. But I think like mostly like if you just be quiet long enough, they'll tell you what happened, man.
Yeah.
You can just kind of take whatever lesson from that.
Yeah. You were named by Vulture as one of the comedians you should and will know. That was earlier this year.
Yeah, that was very cool.
And they said what the subtitle of that was that you take silly over clever every time.
Yes.
We kind of talked about that at the top of this conversation.
Yeah, I technically didn't say that. But if you read the article, I didn't say that, but it was fine. What I was saying
Do you think it's accurate?
I think it's accurate, but there's I feel like they worded it in a way that made it more of a take than I meant it to be, but I think that's just how articles work. But what I was saying was that for me personally, I am a person who I think I am my best self comedically when I am shooting for what's silly versus trying to do the math. For a long time, I was insecure because, like, I feel like when you're around a lot of comedians, a lot of them value the math more. And then I tried to play math games, and I'm just like, that's just not what I do. And I think it's okay for me to be like, hey, that's not what I do. And other people do that well. But for me, people are laughing at me the most when I am having fun doing something that might even be halfway incoherent than doing like a type you get what I'm saying? Like
a very structured bit.
Yeah.
But do you want to put, as I think as you've grown, you've wanted to be you don't want to just be silly. You want to be seriously funny, but silly is the way you get into funny, and you like silly and serious don't have to be antonyms.
Yeah, they don't have to be antonyms, but I think but he was talking about clever though. Like I feel like there are certain people who are very good at making jokes that make a person say,
like word games.
Yeah. I don't have that.
Right.
And so when I say silly, I'm not saying that as to not take myself serious in my points or or whatever medicine I'm trying to put in the candy. I'm saying just structurally, I've never been put this tag here and
Right.
this misdirect, blah, 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 blah. This is not my thing. Yeah.
I don't know. When you go on stage, I mean, we've talked a lot about mental health and things like that. But when I see you on stage, I think that that's the authentic you.
Yeah.
Is that just another part of you that?
I think it's a part of me. I definitely wouldn't say, like, I'm not always, obviously, I'm not yelling right now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not always high energy or, sometimes I could play up stuff. I could play up to be a little bit more aloof or stuff like that. But, yeah, I think it's just like a part. But I think all of us do it, though. I think, listen, you're not as, you're not like as grumpy about the youth in your day-to-day. You get what I'm saying? But you have bits. You got bits where you're like,
I am grumpy about the youth, Mandel.
I mean, you are, but like, I feel like you be chilling sometimes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But obviously, that's the angle that you found in the bits.
Yeah.
And it's what the audience relates to. So yeah, you might play it up a little bit.
Yeah.
You're not mad about the AC every day.
No.
You get what I'm saying?
No. And that's just I try to find stories that illustrate all the noise in my head.
Yeah.
As opposed to, I'm not making fun of my wife when I talk about the dishwasher. I'm making fun of what a thin handle I have on things that don't fit in my model of how the world should be.
You just brought me to a question I want to ask. I thought about this earlier. You know what I think is so unique about comedy is that there's no other reality where we would know each other, right?
That's right.
Like it was just, there's no path where the Paul Ollinger life and my life cross other than this hobby / job, depending on
the
what
shared
year.
affliction that we have.
For sure. Do you feel like as a person who would be considered, let's say, older white, well-off dude, how do you value meeting people that are just not in that world that you came up in?
I do. I mean, comedy took me to places in Atlanta I never would have gone to.
Yeah.
I met people, like you say, younger, poorer, blacker, browner, redder, whatever shade of society and class and age. Really, age is probably the biggest one of all. That's the most easy to measure because I'm 55 and half the people in the green room could be my kid.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I had comics say, well, you're my dad's age or you're older than my dad.
Yeah.
But we're peers. We're both sitting here as skilled amateurs or minor league pro players trying to figure out who we are and make it. And we have that in common, and that's enough.
For sure.
And it's like, and I greatly appreciate the respect that people gave me for trying to play the game just the way they were. And I was authentically interested in learning how they kind of got to it as well, and fascinated to see how they developed.
Have you ever been like, man, I wish it was some more golfing buddies in the game? You know what I'm saying?
I'd love to play golf with more comics, but
you get what I'm saying? Like,
I not really. That'd be competition.
Yeah.
We don't need any more.
Yeah.
We don't need more uptight white
That's
guys.
funny.
In the game.
So,
I like that, and actually, this is the thing that makes me interesting to the country club guys. Is that I know all these comics from when I do those comedy shows at the country clubs that you've done.
Yeah,
I take a lot of pride in bringing people that they don't know or wouldn't know. Yeah. And bring them into this environment and say, this guy's funny. Listen to this guy.
Yeah.
And I get a lot of pride out of that.
Yeah.
Both in showing comics, these people, these really good crowds that are so grateful to have comics come in, and also showing these great comics like, hey, come check out this scene that you probably don't get a lot of exposure to either.
Yeah. No, literally that country club, I passed by that area so much.
Right.
And I did not know That's when y'all was at drinking the blood and all that stuff.
No blood being drunk. All right, we've got a few minutes left.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's fill in the blank here. I am happiest when.
I'm happiest when my mom's proud of me.
Oh,
Legit.
when is she proudest of you?
So when I did Mulaney, when we did Hollywood Bowl,
Let's talk about that for a second.
yeah. So
John Mulaney, former head writer or one of the top writers on SNL, brilliant comedian.
yeah,
He's got as much credibility as anybody in the game.
for sure.
He picked you out.
Yeah, I met him through this comedian named Langston Kerman. He was directing his special, and I was doing like a character on Langston Kerman's special that ended up got cut out the special, but we met to do that, and then Langston was like, "Hey, Mulaney's actually gonna do a pop-up show. Would you like to host?" And I was like, "Yeah." So then
Yes.
we did a pop-up show in Chicago, and he was like, "Man, you was funny. You know, I'm gonna hit you up for some more stuff." But you know, people just say that. And then he texts me one day, "Hey, it's John Mulaney. Would you like to do warm-up for our TV show?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Oh, also, you want to do the ball?" And I'm like, "Yeah." But honestly, I never heard of the
You didn't know what the Hollywood Bowl was?
So then I told some comics in LA, and they're like, "What?" And then he flew me out or whatever, and then he put me up at Lowe's. And then my mom was like, "You know, I never been to LA. That's cool." So then I just so happened to, it was a great month. So I flew my mom out. And then, like, when the car came to pick us up, she rode me in the car. And then.
And had you seen the bowl before you showed up at the gig?
No. So I knew it was big after the conversation, but I didn't know that it was.
You had looked it up online and all that?
Yeah. So then they drive us there, and then, you know.
And it's Hollywood, palm trees. It's like the whole deal.
Yes. And then they driving us there, and it's like, you know, they treat me like I'm a famous person. Like, you walk in to do with the thing in his ear, walking you into the thing. And so then before they let people in, my mom took a picture on the stage, and it was like little stuff that she was noticing. I was also like in bewilderment, but there was little stuff that she was noticing that I didn't process as a thing that happens often too, like having a green room, like it's saying Mandel on a thing, and then she met him, but she didn't know who he was.
Sure,
but she met him, and she's like, "Oh, this dude is famous. I Google him," you know. And then it was like the big old venue, and then the security took her out to the seat, and then I ripped, and it was like 15,000 people. And I won't say I ripped it if I didn't rip. Well, I had a good set, and then they brought her back, and then she was just like, "Oh, why did we ride?" It was crazy, bro.
That's fantastic.
My mom has always been like, I think you doing comedy is great, but I do think nothing wrong with having a day job. Mm-hmm. From that day, she's never questioned it. She's never questioned it ever again.
Right.
From that day. So,
well, I'm 15,000 people at the Hollywood Bowl. It's good to see you doing that. Okay.
Yeah, it was real cool you let me do that.
The thing that frustrates me the most is blank.
Frustrates me the most. Honestly, sometimes it's really myself, man. I really just feel like sometimes I'm working against myself a lot. I be trying to, if I can just get control of
negative self-talk.
Yeah, whatever gremlin that try to convince me that this is all gonna crumble at some point, or I need to sabotage before somebody else do. If I can get control of that, that'd be great.
Is that imposter syndrome?
I don't even know how to define it. I just be trying to, like, I'm so good at building something up, and right before when at the most stressful part, I just burn it down. I feel like this is more comfortable for me, and I'm trying to get. That's the biggest thing I would get frustrated with.
Yeah, that's interesting. You take it away before somebody can take it from you.
Yeah, I'm always doing that, and I'm trying to stop doing it.
Do you think you deserve it? Success. And if not, why not?
I'm gonna say no, but I don't think nobody deserves anything. Honestly, I think we all trying our best, and whatever we get, I just try to be thankful for whatever. I don't really think I'm deserve or owe anything. I think all the things that happen are incredible, and I'm just very like, man, if something cool happens, that's just where it begins and ends with me. I'm never like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to have this, you know?
Right.
And maybe that's my issue. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Last question.
Yeah.
What I really want out of comedy is
Financial freedom.
that's probably the best, most measurable thing you can get.
Yeah.
I think you're going to get it if you want it, if you're committed to that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all I want. I just want to not be broke.
Mandel, it's good to see you, man.
Man, it's good to see you, man.
Where can our people find out more about you and your career?
The Mandal Man on Instagram.
Mandal.
Yeah, DAL, not DEL. The Mandal Man on Instagram, YouTube. Got some project coming out with Adult Swim soon. Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah,
all right, look him up. He's a great comic. He's a great human. Mandal, everybody.
Thank y'all.